Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be making the tutorial for this beautiful short sleeved cardigan. I posted a picture a while back and majority of you chose the short sleeve, so I had to start with this one. But not to worry, I'm going to be making the long sleeve as well. But for now, enjoy this one. Alright, so I used the granny stitch on this one. So without further ado, let us get into today's tutorial. Okay, on this project, these are the materials that you are going to need. You're going to need your yarn, of course. I'm using a yellow and a cream color this time around. And then you need your measurement tape, very important. You need some stitch markers, you need the scissors and a tapestry needed to weave your panels together. And on this one, I'm going to be working with a 4mm hook size. All right, so let us get into it. Okay, for this one, the measurement you are going to need is going to be your bust measurement and the length that you want your top to be on. All right, for this one, I'm going to be making a medium size. So the bust is going to be 37. All right, so since we are going to be working 2 panels on this top, we are going to be dividing 37 into 2 places. All right, so 37 divided by 2 is going to give me 18.5 inches. Okay, so you go ahead now to take your bust measurements, divide it into 2, and on the first panel you are going to make the foundation chain of the inches that you get after dividing it into 2. All right, so I'm just going to go off camera now to create my foundation chain of 18.5 inches, and I'll come back to tell you what we are going to be doing next. Okay, I now have my foundation chain, so I ended up making 73 chains. So now to start on the row 1, you're just going to chain up 3. 1, 2, and 3. And on the 4th stitch, you're just going to go in there with a double crochet. And on that same stitch, you're going to go in there with another double crochet. So since the chain 3 is going to be standing as 1 double crochet plus the 2 double crochet, now we now have 3 double crochet on this stitch. Okay, so now you are going to skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, and on the 3rd stitch you are going to go in there with 3 double crochet on that same stitch. That's 2 and that's 3. Okay, so now you are going to skip 2 stitches, and on the 3rd again you are going to go in there with 3 double crochet on that stitch to create a cluster. 2 and 3. So on this first row, this is exactly what you are going to be doing. Okay, skip 2 stitches, and on the 3rd stitch you're going to go in with 3 double crochet to create a cluster. So that is what you are going to do until the end of this row, and when I get here I'll come back to show you what we are going to be doing next. Okay, so I'm at the end of row 1 now. As you can see, I ended with 3 double crochet here as it is in the beginning. Okay, all right, so now to start on the row 2, you are going to chain up 3. 1, 2, 3, and then you're going to turn your work to the other side, and then you are going to be going into the space now with 3 double crochet to create a cluster. All right, so that's 1, 2, and 3. And on the next space here now, you are going to go in there with a cluster as well. So that's 1, 2, and 3. So on this row now, that is exactly what you are going to be doing. Okay, you are just going to keep creating the clusters on each of the spaces all across until you get to the end here. And when you get here, I'll come back to show you what we're going to be doing next. Okay, so I'm at the end of row 2 now, and this is how we're looking. So on this row 2, I just want to show you how we are going to end it. Okay, so after putting your last 3 double crochet on this space now that we have no space here, what you are just going to do, you are now going to count 3 stitches, 1, 2, and on the 3rd stitch right here, that is where you are going to be putting in your last double crochet. Okay, just like that. Okay, so now you have just one here, and then to end it you have one here. Okay, so now I'm going to be changing to my other color. All right, if you are using double colors like me, then here you are supposed to change your color. But if you are just going with one color, then you do not have to go through all this tricks and all this stress. Sorry. So you are just going to chain up one now, and then you are going to cut off this yarn and you are going to tie it. So turn your work to the other side, and we're going to be introducing the second yarn color that we are going to be using. But like I said, if you are just using one color, then you do not have a problem. All you just need to do is just chain up 3 and turn your work and just start doing your normal clusters. All right, so now we are going to be reattaching the other yarn on this very first stitch right here. And then you're going to chain up 3. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so you see this particular space here now, you're going to be going in there with 2 more double crochets to create a cluster. Because do not forget, the chain 3 is going to be counting as 1 double crochet. So now we have a cluster on the very beginning. So if you see it now, you see that the bottom, the very first row we did, has 3. The second part has 1, and now the third part, which is the third row now, has 3. Okay, so that is the count that you are going to be making. All right, so now on the next space, skipping this cluster, you are going to go in there with another cluster. By putting in 3 double crochet in one space, you make a cluster. Okay, so this is exactly what you are going to be doing for the entire length of the top. Okay, so that's what you do for the entire length of the top, just the repetition of 2 and 3. Just keep creating your cluster as you go until you get to the length that you want. All right, so I'm just going to go off camera now. When I get the length that I want, I'll come back to show you what we are going to be doing next. Okay, so I'm done with my 25 rows now. So now what we are going to be doing, we are going to be creating the neck area. All right, so to get on that, what you are going to do, you are going to be leaving 3 to 4 of the clusters on the middle. Okay, so depending on how much neck you want to leave, how much inches you would like to leave on your neck. Some people want theirs tight and some want their own loose. Okay, so I'm just going to go in between. All right, so what you're going to do now, count the clusters from here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So for my size now, I'm just going to be counting out 11. You see, it's easier to make the measurement here because it has to do with clusters. All right, but if you also want to use the measurement tape, then it is also good for you too. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So after counting 11 from each side, this is what I got. I have 3 in the middle. Okay, 3 clusters. So this is where we are going to be doing our decrease from to this part. Okay, so my own 11 on this side now, for those of you who feel comfortable using the measurement tape, this one gave me exactly 8 inches, and it is exactly 8 inches that is going to be on this part here. Okay, I hope you can see what I'm doing. All right, so the middle now, I ended up leaving 2.5 inches. Okay, but like I said, if you want yours bigger, you can go for 3.5 or 4 inches, depending on how big you want the neck to be. All right, but me, I'm just going to go with this 2.5 inches that this one is giving me right now. All right, so let us get into it. Okay, so after taking our measurements now, we are going to be starting on the 26th row. All right, I'm using my measurement now, so this is the count I'm going to be using. I don't know how long you want your own to be. Okay, so now to go into my next row, which is the number 26th row, I'm just going to chain up 3 as usual. Okay, and I'm going to turn my work to the other side. And now I'm just going to be creating the clusters like we've been doing until I get to my first stitch marker. Okay, so now you go ahead to keep creating your clusters until you get here. So when you get here, I'll come back to show you how we are going to start the decrease on this row. Okay. Okay, so I've gotten to where the first stitch marker is. All right, so I'm now just going to remove the stitch marker from that space. So you see this space now where the stitch marker was. Instead of going here with a cluster now, like putting in 3 double crochet on this space, you are just going to go in with just 1 double crochet, just like that. Okay, so instead of putting in a cluster, just put in 1 double crochet. So this part now happens to be where I switch into my next color. So I'm just going to tie this one off now and cut off this yarn. All right, and I'm just going to tie this one. So to start on the next row now, you're just going to turn your work to the other side, just like that, and you're going to reattach your yarn. But that's for people like us that are using 2 colors. If you are using just 1 color, all you just need to do is chain up 3 and just turn your work to the other side, just normal. All right, but if you are changing color, then you have to turn your work to the other side, reattach your yarn on the very first stitch here, and chain up 3. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so now instead of going into the space like we normally do, you are just going to leave this space, and on the next space now, just after this cluster, you are going to go in there with 3 double crochet to create a cluster, and 3. Okay, so this is how we start our decrease. Okay, so now just go ahead and continue putting in your clusters until you get to this part. We are not doing any increases on this part, so you do your normal chain 3 and then you walk your clusters again, and when you get to this part here, I'll come back to show you how we do our next decrease. Okay, okay, so I'm at the end again where we need to do the decrease for this row. Okay, so now after putting my last cluster here, I'm just going to yarn over, sorry, and you see this part now, instead of going in here with 3 double crochet to create a cluster, you're just going to put in 1 double crochet, just like we did in the beginning here on the first row. Okay, so you're just going to put in 1 double crochet. All right, so this place now happened to be where I need to change to my next color. Like you already know, I'm doing it 2-2, so I'm just going to chain up 1, and I'm going to cut off this one. I'm going to cut off this color and then bring back my yellow color. So tie this one off, and now I'm just going to turn my work to the other side. So now I'm going to be reattaching the yellow color on the very first stitch here. So now on this row, I'm just going to reattach my yarn here, and then I'm going to chain up 3. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so like we did on this row 2, now you see this space, you are going to be leaving this space. It's after this cluster, the next space, that is where you are going to be creating your next cluster. Okay, so that's 1, 2, and 3. So this is just how you do the decrease. I do hope you understand what I'm doing here, because it's exactly what you do here. That is what you are going to do here. You must not make any mistake. So you are always free to slow the video down or rewind it to actually get exactly what I'm doing here, because it's actually easy. Okay, so now what you are just going to do, you are just going to continue creating the clusters like we've been doing. When you get to this place, no decrease or increase on this part. You get to this part, put your cluster here, chain up 3, come back, and then when you get to this part again, I'm going to show you how we end our decrease right here. Okay, so I'm at the end. All right, so just to end it here now, we are just going to yarn over and go into this last space now with just 1 double crochet right there. All right, as you can see, I'm done with my yellow color, so I'm going to be cutting this one off, and then I'm going to reattach my cream color. So we are going to be doing 2 more rows of the cream color. All right, so you are going to turn your work to the other side, and then I'm going to reattach the yarn right here. So you're just going to continue what you've been doing before. So we're just going to chain up 3, okay, and then skip the space, and the space just after this one, you are going to go into that part with a cluster. So you already know what to do, so just go ahead now and do your normal cluster all around, all across to the end here. You do your chain 3 and come back here again, and when you get here, I'm going to come back to show you how we are going to end it. Okay, so I'm at the end of the 7th row now, like I told you. So this is where we are going to be ending the decrease. So now you're just going to yarn over, and on this very last space here, you're going to put in your very last double crochet to end the row. Okay, so you're going to chain up 1 and cut off the yarn, and do same thing on the other side right here to create the neck, and I'm going to come back to show you what we're going to be doing next. Okay, so I'm done creating the neck area, and this is how it's looking. I actually went ahead to put 1 more row of no decrease, okay, on top here, just to complete it, because I want the yellow here now to be my base color. You know, that is what I started with, so I wanted to end with it as well. So I had to use the yellow to end it right here, but no decrease. All right, so you go ahead now to put 1 more row without decrease at the end here. Okay, so now the next step is going to be creating the back panel. All right, so you go ahead now to do your own back panel, because all together now, you know, don't forget I started with 25 rows and I did 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 more rows with the decrease. So 8 plus 25 now gave me 33 rows. Okay, so I ended up doing 33 rows for my front panel. So that is exactly the same thing that you are going to do for your back panel without the neck area. So it's just going to be 1 free 33 rows all to the end right here. Okay, so I'm just going to go off camera now to create my back panel, and I'll be back to show you what we're going to be doing next. Okay, so I'm done with my back panel, and this is how it's looking. So all together now, I have 33 rows on the back panel, just like in the front panel. Okay, and as you can see now, I ended up with the yellow, just 1 yellow on top, because by the time we join the front and the back panel together, it will become 2. Okay, so now this particular 33 rows I did gave me exactly 16 inches. So this is where I'm going to be stopping. Okay, so I don't know how long or how short you want yours to be, but as for my own measurements, this is where I'm going to stop. Okay, so now that we have the back panel and the front panel ready, So now what we are going to be doing, we are going to be joining the shoulders together now. Okay, so to join the front panel and the back panel together, you are going to be needing some stitch markers, okay? Because now we need to count the exact cluster that we have here at the back so that we know where we are going to end without causing any wahala here. Because it must have to be uniform. You do not want one to be lagging just like this, okay? So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 clusters right here. So you are going to be counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 clusters right here as well. So now, since this happened to be the last stitch right here, please just watch what I'm doing, okay? You're going to be going into the very last stitch right here and the last stitch right here as well to mark it out so we know where we are going to be stopping, okay? So just for the sake of it, you can do exactly the same thing here too, just to mark this one out. All right. So you're just going to put a stitch marker here so you know where you are going to begin and end the sewing. Okay. So now this is where we are going to be sewing together right here. Okay. And now to do that, you need your tapestry needle, but there are other ways to join as well. You don't have to use the tapestry needle. You can either use a single crochet or a slip stitch to join. But on this one, I'm going to be using the tapestry needle to join together. So on here, to start the joining here now, I'm just going to remove the stitch marker. Please just watch what I'm doing closely, all right? Okay, so I already have a long tail from the end of the last row that I did. So what I'm just going to do now, I'm just going to put this tail now into my needle, just like this. Okay, so I'm going to be taking the very first stitch on the second panel right here to join it together now. So make sure it's the very first stitch that you're picking from the bottom. Okay, so now that it's joined together, you're going to go into the first stitch on this other panel here now again, just to secure that. All right, so now you're going to be going to the next stitch on the other panel right here. All right, and then you come back here again, the next stitch right here, you take it from the bottom and drag it out. Let me bring it down a little so you can see how I'm taking it. Okay, and so you go to the next panel here, you take the other stitch from the bottom and drag it out. Then you come back here, take this stitch now from the bottom and drag it out. The reason why we are doing it this way is so it will be neat. Okay, so with this one, you do not have to pick one part to be the front or the other part to be the back, because both the front and the back is going to be very neat. You see that? So now you go ahead to sew yours just like this if you are using the tapestry needle method. Okay, and make sure you are going into each stitch just like this, because we want the clusters to be uniform. We want it to be straight, just like this when you finish doing it. All right, so you go ahead now to join both your shoulders, and when I'm done with mine, I'm going to come back to show you what we're going to be doing next. Okay, so I'm done joining both my shoulders together, and as you can see, this is how it's looking. Can you see how neat this looks? That is why I always like to go with the tapestry needle, which I used, but you can as well do your single crochet or slip stitch to join if you do not like this method. Okay, so now the next step is going to be working around the neck area. All right, so in order to get to that now, you're just going to be reattaching your yarn on this part where you joined, okay, this shoulder area. And as you can see, I already have a long tail here, so I'm going to be starting with this one to work on the neck area. All right. All right, let's begin with that one now. So for the first row for this neck area, we are going to be doing a double crochet all around. Okay, So with my long tail here now, I'm just going to be starting with this, and I'm going to chain up 2, 1 and 2, just like that. All right, so now on this cluster here now, you're going to take this one out, and on that space here, you're going to go in there with 2 double crochet, just like this. Okay, and now on this next space, you are going to be going in there with 2 double crochet. All right, so this is what you are going to be doing all across this neck area. You are going to be putting in 2 double crochets on all of these spaces. I hope you're seeing what I'm doing. Let me bring it down a bit. All right, so it's very easy to trace now. You see all these spaces we did on the increase, you're going to be going in there with 2 double crochet on each of those spaces. All right, then when you get to these regular parts, just go in with 1 double crochet, 1 double crochet, and then when you get here again, just going with 2 double crochet. That is the calculation. All right, so that is exactly what you are going to do all around the neck. And when you get here, I'll come back to tell you what we are going to be doing next. Okay, so I'm at the end of the row 1 now. I'm done putting in the double crochet all around the neck area. All right, so I'm just going to be ending this row 1 here now by putting a slip stitch on the very first stitch that we started with right here. All right, so to start on the row 2 now, we are going to chain up 2, 1 and 2. So now on this row, we are going to be doing front posts and back posts. Okay, front post and back post double crochet. That is the work we're going to be doing here now. All right, so you are going to yarn over, and then this very first stitch here, just watch what I'm doing carefully. All right, you are going to be taking it from the bottom, and you are going to create a front post double crochet. All right, and on the next stitch, you are going to be taking it from the back and do a back post double crochet, just like this. This is how you create a front post and a back post double crochet. So on the next stitch, you are going to go in with a front post double crochet, and on the next, you are going to go in there with a back post double crochet. So on this second row, this is exactly what we are going to be doing all around until you get to these parts, and I'll come back to show you what we are going to be doing next. Okay, so I'm at the end of the row 2 now. So my last stitch happens to be the back posts. So I'm just going to end it here now by putting a slip stitch on the very first stitch we started with right here. All right, so now to start on the row 3, we are going to be chaining up 2, 1, 2. Okay, so now you remember we started with a front post on the previous row, so we are still going to be doing a front post on that front post. Okay, and on the next stitch, you know, we did a back post. We are going to be continuing with a back post. So all the stitches that has front post in the previous row, they are going to be getting front post on this row as well, and all the ones with the back post, they are getting a back post on this one as well. So that's the pattern. So for the front post, you go again with a front post on that same stitch. The one with the back posts gets a back post again on that stitch. So on this row, that is what you keep following. Just keep going with the front posts on the front posts and the back posts on the back posts. So do that all around until you get here. And when you get here, I'll come back to show you what we're going to be doing next. Okay? Okay, so I'm at the end of the row 3 now. So to end this row, I'm just going to do a slip stitch on the very first stitch we started with right here. All right, and I'm going to chain up 1 and cut off my yarn because I'm just going to be doing 3 rows on the neck area. Okay, so but if you want to do more, you can go ahead to add more to your own. All right, but me, this is where I'm just going to stop. I like it like this. I don't want it to be too tight on my neck, so this is where I'm stopping. So the next step now is going to be creating the arm area. All right. So you are supposed to take the measurement around your arm to know the amount or the inches you want to leave for your arm area. All right. Around my arm is 18 inches. So I'm going to be doing 18 inches on this one as well. So 9 here and 9 at the back makes it 18 inches. So around my arm is 18 inches. So on the front here, I'm just going to be doing 9 inches. And I'll count the clusters and do exactly the same thing at the back. So this is my 9 inches right here. So I'm just going to put a stitch marker right here to mark it out. Okay, so now that you have this out of the way, now that you've marked out your arm area, we are going to be closing this part now. All right, we'll start by closing this side and revealing the armhole before we start working on the arm. All right, so now that's why I didn't weave in all of these ends, because these ends now they are going to be doing the joining for me. So all you need to do is just put a yarn on your tapestry needle if you are going with this pattern, okay? Because there are other ways to actually join as well. You can go ahead to use either the slip stitch or the single crochet method, okay? But me, I'm going to be using the tapestry needle. So put a yarn on your tapestry needle and pick the very last stitch here and join. Okay, so now that it's connected together, all you need to do is go into this very first stitch. Please just watch what I'm doing carefully, okay? And then you're going to join it together and make sure it's the very first stitch that you picked so that this place will be uniform, okay? And then you go to the middle on this side, go through the bottom and go to the other panel through the bottom, the middle as well, okay? So now you go to the end and pick it from the bottom as well on this panel, and on the other panel you do exactly the same thing to join. So this is how you join it together. All right, when you get to the other color, you switch to the other color. All right, and just do that to go do your joining until you get to this stitch marker. When I get to this stitch marker, I'll come back to show you what we're going to be doing next. Okay, so I'm done joining mine together and this is how it's looking. You see how neat it looks? You won't even know anything happened here. So the next step now is going to be working on the arm area. We are going to be doing that all around. All right, so now you are going to be, oh, they just took our lights. I do hope this light is bright enough for you to see what I'm doing. All right, let me bring it down a bit. This is one of the problems we face right here in our country, Nigeria. So bear with me. Okay, so now you are going to be reattaching your yarn. This time around, I'm going to be using just the yellow color on the arm area. I don't want to mix it with the cream anymore, so it's just going to be the yellow color all around on the arm. Okay, so now you are going to reattach your yarn on the place you stopped joining at the end here, okay, just under the arm. That is where you are going to reattach your yarn, okay, and then you are going to chain up 3, 1, 2 and 3. Okay, so make sure the place you reattach the yarn is the middle. All right, so now you are going to be going into the next space right here now with a cluster. You're going to put in 3 double crochets on that place, and on this first row make sure your crochet tension is loose, okay? Don't make it too tight, okay? So now I have 3 right here, and now you are going to be going to the next space. So you skip this one and go to the next space and put in a cluster right there on that space. And 3. And then on the next space, that is exactly what you are going to do. you put in a cluster right there. 1, 2, and 3. So basically on this row 1, that is exactly what you are just going to be doing. Okay, you'll be going into the spaces now. You'll be putting in a cluster on each of the spaces all around. Okay, so when you get to this place that you joined, after putting your cluster right here, you will skip this part. Then this middle where you join together, now you go in there with a cluster as well and continue putting in the clusters in all of the spaces, and I will meet you here to tell you how we are going to end it. Okay, so I'm at the end of the row 1 now, and you see I've put in my last 3 double crochet, which is my cluster. So this is where we begin. You see this place we begin now that we chain 3. That you see that particular stitch we used to chain the 3. Now you're going to go into that place with 2 more double crochet to create a cluster, because the chain 3 stitch is going to be serving as 1 double crochet. All right, so in order to complete it 3 on that space, you are going to go in with 2 more double crochets. All right, so it will be a cluster. And then to end the stitch, to end the row, sorry, you are going to be doing a slip stitch on the very 3rd chain on top of here. All right, so as you can see now, we now have a cluster here. So to begin on the 2nd row, on the next row now, you are going to chain up 3. 1, 2, and 3. All right, so on this same space now, you are going to go in there with 2 double crochet, because this chain 3 is going to be standing as 1 double crochet. So now we have 2, and then on that same space you are going to go in with 1 more double crochet to create a cluster, as you can see. All right, so now you go on now to do clusters. Keep putting in clusters in each of the spaces all around. All right, as you can see it. All right, so now keep going into all of the spaces now, like we've been doing with your normal clusters all around until you get to this end here. And when I get here, I'll come back to show you how we're going to end this row. All right, okay, so I've gotten to the end of the row 2, and to end this row now, you're just going to do a slip stitch on the very 3rd chain stitch where we started from here. All right, so this is how you create the arm. All right, so on the next row now, you're just going to chain up 3, just like this, and then on the next space you're going to go in there with a cluster, and you are going to keep creating clusters on each of the spaces all around. Then when you get to this end part here, you are going to put in 2 more double crochet plus this chain 3 that is standing as 1 to make a cluster. So that is exactly what you're going to repeat. You're just going to be repeating the row 2 and row 3 all around until you get to the length that you want. I'm going to make 10 rows, and I'm going to come back to show you what we're going to be doing next. All right, okay, so I now have my 10 rows, and this is how it's looking. Can you see how beautiful this is? So in order to round this off now, I'm just going to be putting in 1 double crochet all across. All right, so now you chain up 2. I've chained 1 before, so on that same stitch now you're going to go in there with a double crochet, and on the next stitch you're going to go in there with a double crochet. So you're just going to be putting in 1 double crochet on each of the stitches all around on this last row, and when you get here, I'll come back to tell you what we're going to be doing next. Okay, so I'm at the end of the double crochet row now, and this is how it's looking. All right, so the last bit now for the arm is you are going to be doing single crochet all around this arm. All right, so to start on that now, you're going to chain up 1, and on that same stitch you're going to be going in with 1 single crochet, And on the next stitch, you're going to go in with 1 single crochet, and on the next you're going to go in with 1 single crochet. So keep putting in 1 single crochet all around, and when you get here, I'm going to come back to tell you what we're going to be doing next. Okay, so I'm done putting in the single crochet row now, and this is how it's looking. All right, so now I'm just going to cut off the yarn because I'm done with this arm, and I'm just going to tie it right here. All right, so now you go ahead to do exactly the same thing on the second arm, just like this. Follow exactly the same step. All right, I don't know if you want your own to be longer than this. Me, I just went with 10 rows like I already told you. So I'm just going to go off camera now to do the second arm of mine, and when I come back, I'm going to show you how we are going to do the ribbing for the bottom of the top. Okay, I'm done with both the arms, and this is how it's looking. See it? My table is not big enough to show you the entire thing, so I'm just going to be doing it like this. All right, so the next step now is going to be working on the ribbon. All right, so we are going to be doing exactly the same thing we did here. Now we are just going to be doing it at the bottom here. Okay, so let us get into that. Okay, to start on the ribbon now, you're just going to reattach your yarn on one of the sides where we did the joining. Okay, it will be easier that way to be ending the rows on that part. Okay, so now just reattach your yarn on either of the sides, and then you are going to chain up 2, 1 and 2. So on this part now, we are going to be going with a double crochet all around the bottom of the top. Okay, like I told you, just exactly what we did on the neck area, that is exactly what we are going to be repeating here. Okay, so now that you've chained up 2, on that same stitch, you are just going to go in there with 1 double crochet. Okay, so now what you are going to be doing now, you see this space, you are going to go in there with 2 double crochet, 1 and 2. Okay, we are not going to be putting anyone on these parts, so you are just going to be going into each and every one of the space with 2 double crochet. Okay, so go to the next space, and you're going to put in 2 double crochet on that space, and go to the next space, and then you're going to put in 2 double crochet on that space. So you go ahead now to keep putting in 2 double crochet on each of the spaces. All right, all around. When you get to this place where you joined, you make sure you put the 2 double crochet on this part here just after the clusters. All right, do exactly the same thing until you get here, and when I get here, I'll come back to show you what we're going to be doing next. Okay, so I'm at the end of the row 1 now, and if you remember, we are going to be starting our front post and back posts double crochet on this second row now. All right, so to begin that, you're just going to chain up 2. All right, so on this very first stitch now, you're going to be going in there with a front post double crochet, and on the next stitch, you're going to be going in there with a back post double crochet. And on the next stitch, you're going to be going in there with a front post double crochet, and on the next, you're going to be going in there with a back post double crochet. So this is exactly what you're going to be doing for this row 2 now, all around until you get to this spot here. And when you get here, I'll come back to show you what we're going to be doing next. Okay, so I've gotten to the end of the row 2 now. Okay, so now to start on the row 3, you are just going to chain up 3. But wait a second. If you take your time to watch this video to this extent, that means you are enjoying my tutorial. And I know that you are thinking of making this for yourself or for a friend or someone. But the $1,000,000 question now is, have you subscribed to my channel yet? If you are enjoying this video, there is a lot of goodies that you are missing not being subscribed to my channel. So now take this opportunity, I'm going to wait for you to click on the subscribe button right now so you do not miss out on any of the tutorial that I make. Okay? Okay, so now that you're a subscriber, welcome on board. So let us continue. All right, so now on this third row, you are going to be doing a front post double crochet on the previous front post double crochet that you made. All right, so on the next stitch now, that happens to be the back post double crochet, you are going to be doing a back post on that stitch, exactly what we did on the neck area. That is exactly what you are going to be repeating here. The only difference with this one and the neck, this one is going to be there's going to be more rows compared to the neck area. All right, so that is exactly what you continue doing. The stitches that got the front posts, you put a front post on them. The stitches that got the back post, you put a back post on them until you get the row that is comfortable with you. Okay, so it depends on you and how many rows you want to do and how long you want your top to be after here. Okay, so I'm just going to go off camera now to create my own rows, and I'll come back to show you the final results. Okay, so I'm done working on the ribbon. So as you can see, I ended up putting 6 rows in total. All right, so apart from the first double crochet that we started with, I added 5 more rows of the front post and back posts to make it exactly 6 rows on the ribbon. All right, if you know you want yours longer, you can go ahead to just continue making it until you are satisfied. Okay, so I've just shown you the basics now. Own it and make it your own. All right, do your little tweak and make it what you feel comfortable wearing or giving out. Okay, so on this note, we've come to the end of today's tutorial. If you know you enjoy watching this video, please make sure to like the video and share the video to your friends and your family who wants to make something as beautiful as this. All right. And if you've not subscribed to my channel before now, please make sure you do that now. Just click on the little notification bell below there too, so that you do not miss out on any of the tutorials that I post. All right, so if you have any questions about this project, feel free to drop it on the comment section and I will be happy to help. All right, so until next time, bye bye.